welcome everyone to this kind of hopefully relatively informal seminar about the IARS travel grant. Our idea with this is to distribute it out to people who might be interested in applying for this and kind of go over what it's about, give some tips about a successful application, and really kind of open up this opportunity to as many people as possible. Hopefully answer any questions that you might have. So please feel free to kind of save those up and we'll go over those at the end. Again, this is the International Anesthesia Research Society, Maximizing Your Chances, Guidance for the IARS International Outreach Travel Grant webinar. I think I'll go ahead and go to the next. So just as an FYI, some other upcoming webinars from IARS, this one about brain guardians, the anesthesiologist's role in optimizing brain protection in older adults, which is coming up in about a month, and then glucose monitoring and management technologies in the operating room and ICU, which is in early September. And the idea, behind those is to, again, engage a larger community now that we're all on Zoom or other online platforms all the time. Okay, a little bit about me. So I'm Kristin Schreiber. I'm joining you from California. I'm a professor here at Stanford in the Department of Anesthesiology. I've been involved in IARS for a number of years, and I'm currently the co-chair of this international subcommittee, and also the chair of this travel grant review study section. So that's why I'm talking about this today, just a little bit about me. Clinically, I work in acute pain and regional anesthesia and sort of trying to blunt this acute to chronic pain transition in patients who are undergoing surgery. My research program is related, looking at mechanisms of the acute to chronic pain transition. And I'm currently the co-chair of this subcommittee at the IARS, but I've been a member for a number of years, and I've led this travel grant for the last couple of years. We've had a couple of successful grantee classes, and it's been a really wonderful program to be involved in. I'm very passionate about mentoring people and sponsoring excellent translational research that people are doing all over the world. And, it's really been a struggle for us to try to get this out to more people. And so we're excited to have all of you here today. Just disclosures, I am a handling editor both at anesthesiology and at pain medicine, a couple of journals, and then funded through the National Institutes of Health to study this acute to chronic pain transition. So what is the purpose of this outreach travel grant? These are some pictures of our last class of awardees up in Montreal this last spring. Essentially, it's to support early and mid-career researchers from lower middle and upper middle income countries to present their research about anesthesiology or perioperative medicine at the upcoming 2027 annual meeting, which will take place in Chicago, sort of end of April, early May this coming year. Chicago is a great place. I hope that we'll see many of you there. What you will gain from getting this travel grant is international exposure and financial support to support travel to and attend the meeting, to an opportunity to present in a dynamic multinational context. These are really great meetings, and make new connections with collaborators, mentors, and peers from around the world. The key deadlines are coming up, actually. So August 12th, the travel grant submission site closes, and on the 19th, the abstract submission for the meeting opens. So that sounds kind of funny. We actually are trying to do this relatively early so that we can get people answers so they can get visas in order to travel here. We've just had the feedback that we need to get this done a little bit earlier. So that's why they're really due. The good news is it's not a very extensive application, so you can easily get it done by August 12th. In December 2026, after we've gone through the rounds of review, that's really when we'll be telling people whether or not they got a grant. So then that leaves people at least 4 months to hopefully make their travel plans and get visas if need be. It's a two-step process. As I kind of indicated, you submit through your travel grant through this Proposal Central submission site. It's pretty easy to use. And again, it's open right now. And August 12th is when it's finally due. And then after that, you have to submit basically that same, the abstract, your information via the IARS SOCA meeting site. And so that's actually open until December 6th, but we ask that you just go ahead and do that. We really do need people to have that submitted in order to be eligible for the travel grant. So just going into some tips for a strong abstract submission based on things that we've seen in the past. Having a nice, clear title. It can be catchy. That's great. Then, it like sticks in our brains probably, but making it concise and descriptive and avoiding too much abbreviation and jargon. Focus on one main message, a single clear takeaway. Don't have too many outcomes or questions. Concise but complete, and emphasize the impact and relevance of your research or the question that you're asking on anesthesiology, critical care, perioperative medicine, patient care. And we love to see innovation and practical applications. That's another sort of strong point. Ensuring a logical flow. Each section should lead to the next so that the reviewer can quickly understand what it is you're presenting. Some other tips: using numbers effectively. It's good to sort of include some kind of quantitative results when possible and clearly distinguish primary and secondary outcomes. Just, typical stuff, double check formatting and guidelines, proofread thoroughly, and then it's always a good idea to seek feedback from either peers or mentors or people even who are a little bit outside of your area to be like, hey, is this clear? Am I getting across my message? And that can really help you kind of fill in some of those missing details and maybe see some weaknesses that you didn't see before. We encourage you only to submit one application. Just choose, if you have multiple projects that you're working on and thinking about submitting as an abstract, just pick the strongest one. Ensure all the required information is there, highlight the relevance, and showcase the impact that attending the meeting would have on you and your career, because that's really one of our main goals. The requirements, so you have to currently be an IARS member. You can just sign up at the time of submission. Be located in a low, lower, middle, and upper middle income country. And there's like a listing of that's available. Submit an abstract. As I mentioned, that comes after this is actually due, but we do need you to do that. Be in a sort of an early career or mid-career investigator, or can be currently in training, pursuing a career that involves some kind of research that's related to anesthesia or critical care or perioperative medicine, and being connected or collaborating with an anesthesia department. The grant amount, that's probably what everyone actually wants to know. For low income countries, it's up to 5,000. For lower middle, it's up to 3,000, and upper middle is 1,000. And that also that is not inclusive of the meeting registration, which is separate. So that is complimentary and sort of waived for you when you get this. Disqualifications are if you've formally received this. So sorry, guys, if you've tried to do that. But submitting more than one grant is really kind of a disqualifier. So you've got to pick just your strongest one. And then we ask that if it's just a medically challenging case or case report and case series, that you not submit those. Those would not be eligible. There's this piece, this letter of motivation. And so I wanted to say a couple of words about that. So it's a one-page letter of motivation, and what it's intended to do is kind of give us a little insight into your goal for your research and career, specifically how attending the meeting would benefit your research and your career, what you hope to achieve after receiving the grant, what resources of support you require to achieve your goals and maybe what you're doing with the resources that you have, and kind of a little idea of where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years. I know that's a lot for one page, but you know, the more you rewrite it, the better it gets. So this is, we have a slightly different scoring, just recognizing this isn't exactly like a research award, right? It's a travel grant award. And so we've kind of refocused a little bit on some of the things that we were finding as a review panel were the most important. And so I've listed them here along with kind of the putative number of points that you could get in each of these categories. So the first is scientific significance of your research or your research question, what gaps it's addressing in anesthesiology or perioperative medicine. So that's about 1/5 of the points. The research quality or innovation, sort of looking at comprehensiveness, rigor, innovation, methods, analysis, and results that are reported. So that's up to 20 points. The impact it will have on you at home, in the institutional or environmental context in which you find yourself. Candidate background and accomplishments, that's just sort of all the things that you've accomplished to date. And then this motivation letter, which I mentioned in the previous slide, where you get to kind of tell us a little bit about how this is going to impact you in your career. And then we also sort of built in this extra 10 points that, it's something that's not captured with the other criteria, essentially. And we have multiple people reviewing each of them. And then we have like ways of like kind of weighting it so that it's equivalent and allows everyone to get a fair review. So in conclusion, these are sort of the next steps. So complete the travel grant application, submit your strongest abstract, emphasize the impact, proof and polish it. It's always great to have other people look at it, as I said, and these are the deadlines, both for the travel grant on August 12th and then for the abstract itself. So I think that's it. I'm going to leave this one up and maybe just open it up to questions. Any questions that anyone has? Asma?
Yes, hi everyone. This is Asma Abdus Salam. I'm from Pakistan, Karachi. So, Kristin, thank you so much for your presentation and thank you for inviting us and for the continuous information on the email. I just wanted to ask that I have been selected as the Global Scholar Award for this year. I'm the recipient of that award from IARS. So, am I eligible to apply for this travel grant?
Yeah, I don't
Yes,
think
you
that
are.
you would not be.
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
okay, great. I
You're
don't think
eligible.
there's,
Yeah.
if you haven't won this one before, you're eligible.
Okay, and I have another question that we are working on our study right now. So can we submit the study protocol as an abstract for the meeting?
Yeah, are you anticipating that you will have at least some preliminary results before the abstract deadline for IARS, like before December 6th?
Before December 6th, yes.
Yeah, yes.
But not in August.
Right. I know it's tricky because it's so much earlier, right? I mean, this is always true of any abstract submission. It's always like so far in advance and you kind of don't know. I mean, I would say, yes, go ahead. If you have any kind of sort of even feasibility results or any kind of results, that certainly always kind of strengthens the application.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm. Adugna, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I see you have your hand up, but you're still muted. Adugna Casa? Hi. Hi, did you have a
Hi.
question?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Thank you for the chance. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a couple of questions. The first thing is now I am just doing one study on cancer pain management, and it's a mixed method study. It contains both qualitative and quantitative study, and I'm doing it concurrently. So what do you recommend? Is that do you recommend me to just submit both mixed method design, or just only the qualitative or quantitative one? I mean, one of the things is just to focus on the one outcome and like that. So which one do you recommend me to apply?
I mean, I would recommend submitting the mixed methods because I think both are interesting and they interact in a way that usually gives more information,
Exactly.
and more insight. Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And one more question. Currently, I am on the data collection phase for both qualitative and quantitative studies. And can I apply for this? I mean, by until December, I will be finalizing the data collection, and hopefully, I will be finalizing the write-up. But currently, I don't have the results and the analysis yet. I'm just on data collection process. Can I apply with that?
Yeah, no, that's a similar question to asthma, right? And this kind of perennial problem that we have with the very early deadlines. We're like,
Yeah.
we want people to be able to receive this in time to be able to like apply for visas and come, but then recognizing it's always pretty early. I'll give the same recommendation. If you can, kind of bring together even sort of feasibility or preliminary data, even if it's not, the final data analysis, I think that strengthens the application because, you can say like, well, we're going to do this and this and this, and we know how life actually proceeds typically, right? Things never get done as fast as you want. But I think if you can show a little bit of sort of the direction or the feasibility of the data collection, that strengthens your application.
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh boy. Okay, so the next person who has their hand raised, Dr. Ekor. I'm going to just use your last name because otherwise I'm gonna do terrible trying to pronounce that. Hi.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for the
Hi.
presentation. My question is not exactly with the travel grant, but to find out how I can access grant for a study, which may end up qualifying for a grant maybe towards next year. I have an idea, but I need grants to be able to carry it out. How do I access that from IARS?
That's a great question. I mean, we have a number of research, like we have the IMRA, the IRS Mentored Research Award. We have other awards. I mean, it's tricky. I don't know if Megan, do we have something that we could send that would be, sort of like a list of resources? I mean, the other thing would be to like try to connect you with mentors within the IRS network who might have insight into more local resources. In addition, yeah, because this obviously the travel grant is it's kind of a limited amount of funding, and it's really kind of designed to help bring you to the meeting.
Yeah, I would recommend checking out our online community. It's a great space for clinical and research discussions and opportunity to network with other colleagues around the world. And you could pose that question in the community and get feedback from your colleagues around the world.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I know we all wish we had more funding. It is such a challenge always. You have great ideas, you want to test them, and you need just like a little bit of funding to get you going.
Maybe I can comment on that.
Hi.
Yes, Dr. Eugene Tushime, I was part of the first cohort to get this award. So there was one international outreach grant for research. So from IRS last year, and one person from Tanzania got it. Maybe they can keep their eyes open if there will be a next round for next year. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Eugene. I really appreciate that. maybe I'll have you say something in just a minute after we do a couple more questions. So Dr. Cargbo, hi.
Hi, Kristin. How are you? Thank you so much. I'm from Sierra Leone. I just want to make first a request. I'm sure processing the information, probably maybe seeing it for the second time will also help us a lot in then assimilating it. Can you please share this recording with us? That is one.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that I want to ask, as a young researcher, currently I'm working on a topic for the West Africa, for a fellowship of the West African College of Surgeons Anesthesia. Is it possible to use that research for the application of this travel grants? So that's my
Yes.
question.
Yes. I would say yes. There's
Oh,
no sort of there's no limitation on, something that's funded through another source. We don't expect you to not have other funding involved. Yeah.
okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm, mhm. Dr. Sardar, you have a question?
Yep. Kristen, it was fantastic from your side, your lecture delivery. We are very much clear.
Thank
And
you.
thanks, Megan, for arranging such a beautiful program to make us clear, everyone. And I have very small and very simple query. Has it any age limitations for this opportunity, like 40 years or 50 years, like this?
No, we don't have any age limitations. It is geared towards, I guess, slightly more junior faculty, but it's not like there's definitely no age limitation because, as you know, sometimes like later in our careers, we sort of launch into a new direction, right? And maybe someone who's been, predominantly clinical now is getting involved in some research, for example. And so in that sense, they're kind of an early investigator, right? So yeah, no age limitations.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, and if people think of other questions, obviously you can reach out to us, and you can also like raise your hand. But I actually wanted to call out Eugene. Did you want to say anything about your experience at all, or any tips, or yeah, just any pearls of wisdom?
Yeah, thank you. So for me, I think what was important is to start the process early, so that you decide that you're going to apply. The second part was to have a mentor, because when you don't have sometimes you don't have like a research group, so I don't feel like you can do it by yourself. So when you prepare yourself ahead of time, and then you have the abstract, you share with your mentors ahead of time, you have time for feedback. Same for also your letter of motivation. So to have, as you say, the second person to review, that was essential for me. I think those were the two things that helped me to get this award.
Yeah, thank you. That's always great advice, as much as you can do it early on. Obviously, recognizing that we're only about 3 or 4 weeks out, but honestly, that's three weeks is a long time, especially for this sort of length of application. And given that it's likely going to be something that you're already kind of doing currently, Dr. Jameer, you just raised your hand.
Yeah, I just have a small query. For the selection for the grant, like, do you have any preference for like studies like meta-analysis or RCT over survey studies, or do you have any preference like that for getting the opportunity to get the grant?
Yeah, no, that's a great question because we get a bunch of different sort of formats, and some of them we have gotten meta-analyses and sort of review type of projects. I mean, I will say if I'm thinking about sort of the enthusiasm of the larger reviewing group, people tend to be more enthusiastic for original research, right? Because that's
Okay.
something that you're really kind of doing, and oftentimes it's addressing a question that's in front of you, or something that you've been working on for a while, something that supports like where you could go in the future. I know that sometimes doing a meta-analysis is like the first step of you developing a rational research program. So in that regard, it's not completely out of the box, but I would say there's a pretty strong preference for some kind of primary research, meaning like data that you're collecting, even if it's observational, even if it's retrospective, if it's something like real and on the ground that's like kind of related to what you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Dr. Sarter still has his hand up, but I think that's not on purpose. Okay. And I would say, as requested, we can definitely share this recording, and obviously all of the information is on this. I should maybe put it back up. Here, let me reshare this because there's a QR code where if you wanted to, think people can see this, hopefully. Here, let's see, I'm going to put it in this view. This QR code here essentially will kind of take you to where you need to go. I think I saw something in the chat. Let's see here.
Yes, we'll put the location for the chat in the chat where you can apply.
Okay, great. And I think I saw someone said that they joined late. More explanation on the 2 deadlines. Just to reiterate that the reason why the deadline for this travel grant is so early, and it's actually preceding the deadline for the abstracts at the IARS meeting, is just purely to allow more time for the awardees to be able to allow time for us to review them and sort of finalize our choices so that those people then are able to make their travel arrangements. I think we ran into some trouble in the past where a couple of people literally couldn't get their visas in time. And so they're going to be attending this year's meeting, actually. But obviously that's not ideal. We want people to be able to attend the meeting for which they're getting the award. So first deadline is for the travel grant, which is August 12th. And then subsequently, a week later, the abstract submission opens at IARS, and it's actually not due until December 6th, but we would very much recommend that you get it in right away. All right, Megan, I bet there's things that I forgot.
Do you
keep me honest.
Oh, no problem. I think you covered most of the basics. Do you want to have Dr. Atiyishimi share a little bit about his experience as a travel grant recipient? That might be helpful for applicants to learn about.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he gave us a little bit of advice on applying and what makes a strong application, like getting it in early. Do you want to tell us anything else about your experience, Eugene?
The other thing I will just comment on the questions people asked. I think it's essential to make sure, as you said, to share some data, kind of data. Otherwise, if the abstract has no result, it becomes a weak abstract. That was another issue that I thought was essential. Also, people may have multiple projects. So in my case, I had multiple projects. So it becomes important to look on how the question which is most important in your context, which will have potential for more impact. That's how I thought that the area I was working on, that's how I picked one area in my case, which was wellness and burnout. And only few people in Africa were working on it. So I would imagine if you have an area where multiple people are working on it, the competition will be higher. That was my thinking. Then I thought that I was among few people who were working on that area, and I had enough data and the background. Again, I'm just now having two things which are important: to have the data and the background, but also area that of interest that may be unique to you. So that I think that was one of the strengths of my application. Um, I will also comment on the benefit of having the grant. I think it's beyond the travel, because you're going to get to meet people, and also you're doing good networking, and there'll be more opportunities from the grant itself. So in my case, I managed to be now on the social media committee with IARS. So where I get to meet more people. I attended the recent international conference as well. I hope to attend the next one. So I will encourage people to apply, considering that my experience. And I will be happy to comment if there's a question.
Oh, thank you, Eugene. Yeah, I mean, such a great application, and really appreciate yeah, you being a spokesperson for us. Yeah, that's great. And I'm glad to hear that you're on that subcommittee. That's great.
Yeah. So the other
Congratulations on
thing,
that.
I remember the other thing is also talking to the people who won the grant before. So in my case, this last year, one of the people who won it was my mentee. And I was able to guide him. I guided the four people, but one of them got it again. So that's also, I think, another potential opportunity. If you know the people who won it before, you will have more insight on and deeper than what we're discussing here.
Mhm. Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, maybe we already have this on the website somewhere, but I wonder if it would be helpful to share at least part of, our previous awardees, like what their application, a bit of what their application looked like, their abstract, so that people could see examples of things that have won the award in the past. I mean, it's only been a couple of years, so. But it'd be great to, as time goes on, to have almost like a community of the previous winners that would, like be able to, in a way, give advice and mentoring to people who are applying now. So anyhow, and in that regard, I really appreciate you being here, Eugene.
Thank you.
Dr. Schreiber, we have a question in the chat
Oh,
on the preference for type of study for the travel grant. The question was SRMA or RCT or cohort perspective studies, which is the preference?
okay. Yeah. I think, yeah, that was sort of related to that other question before, like the meta-analysis. I mean, I would say generally having your own data. I mean, RCT is great, right? Like that's the gold standard, but recognizing those are difficult to do, and especially in the beginning of your career, if you don't have a lot of other funding, it's hard to actually do those. So I would say RCT maybe more so than a cohort, more so than a retrospective, right? Or case series, and meta-analyses are, maybe a little bit less desirable, or, just because, as actually Eugene was saying as well, like having a little bit of your own data really kind of does go a long way. Oh yeah, and the previous winners interviews can be found at the bottom of the webpage. Thank you, Megan. Yeah, it's like really well curated. Okay, and then there's another question for evaluation. As medical student without much research experience, what? So the 20 points for the candidate background and accomplishment, I'm glad that you asked that, because it's not that, I mean, and this actually comes up quite a bit in our discussions about this. I would say that generally we're kind of rating what you've accomplished with the time that you've had, right? So if you're more junior, you're still able to get up to the 20 points if if you demonstrate that you've made good use of the time that you've had in your training, or even before your training, or just kind of the trajectory that you're on, right? And similarly, if you've had many, many years, sure, that accumulates, but we aren't necessarily just going to automatically give you 20 points just because of that. I hope that makes sense. We're taking into account the amount of time you've had to accrue your accomplishments. So don't be discouraged if you're very junior. All right. Any other thoughts or questions? All right. I think, I am definitely happy to field any questions that come in the meantime. If you think of something later. Oh, here's another one. Okay. Is it also possible to publish the abstract after submission? Yes, yes, it is. So the innovation, yeah, it's not like a separate section, although if you wanted to call it out as a separate section, obviously it's a pretty brief application. I would say that when I was going through the criteria, innovation really kind of falls under that second criterion, the research quality and innovation. So it's inclusive of sort of how comprehensive, how rigorous, how innovative the design methods, analysis, and results are. So that kind of falls into that category, if I understood the question right.
I thought they mean an innovation project, and that's how I had the question. I would think it may not be if it's not research, then it will be difficult to have like higher mark if it's
Oh, like a clinical innovation or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Okay, I got it. I was understanding like innovation as a separate like criterion for yeah, I mean, I think if you collect some data that has some meaning about, if you innovate, for example, you have rigorous collection of some data before an innovation and after the implementation of that innovation, that sort of shows what its benefit has been, or whether it benefits certain people more than others, or, that's, I would say that's definitely something that's kind of like a study that would be eligible. And then how many people? So yeah, so we do, actually, I'm going to ask Megan to clarify. How many are we doing this year? Just to see whether it's been updated.
Yeah, that needs to be determined with our board, but in the past 2 years, it's been about 7 to 8 individuals.
Kind of depends on our funding from the IARS, and whether, and the more success we have with the people from the past, going on to do great things, the more we can sort of lobby for more funding for more of these. Here. So I think there's a question about, well, which criteria weighs more. So yeah, we kind of here, I'm gonna reshare our review criteria and scoring, which hopefully will clarify that. Let's see here. So hopefully this is what's showing. And I think I need to do this. Are you seeing just the slide?
It's in presentation mode, I believe.
Oh, okay. Let me do this. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's like essentially each person's application can get 100 points. And so the way that we're taking into account the weight of each of these is the total points that each of these, sort of criteria could have. So scientific significance is, 1/5, research is 1/5, candidate background and accomplishments is 1/5, motivation letter is 1/5, and then 1/10 of the total score is this discretionary bonus and the impact at home. So hopefully that makes sense. We had been, assigning weights and, based on the average reviewer weight. This is actually a way to kind of simplify it for us, but hopefully it also makes it very transparent what it is that we're sort of valuing. I hope that answers the question that was in the chat. And we are going to be sending out a recording. Yeah, we're looking for more and more ways to reach out to people and have more of these webinars and find other ways to engage with the community. This has really done the work of this international committee. So just in response to that one thing in the chat. All right, well, thank you, everyone. I think we'll probably wrap it up unless Eugene, any last thoughts? Megan, anything that we should cover?
No, I just encourage them to apply ahead of time and have the mentor involved. And good luck.
Yeah, good luck, everyone. We're excited to see your applications. We have one
Thank you,
question
everyone.
from Dr. Caicedo. Thank you.
Can you see me? Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
we can see you. Yep.
In the last minute, just taking a seat here. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very valuable. So I'm a young researcher in Colombia, very, very interested in anesthesia and perioperative medicine. I've participated and co-authored a couple studies on postoperative delirium and emergence delirium after anesthesia. And I just wanted to know if this kind of research would be valuable to the IARS. One of the studies is a retrospective cohort study in postoperative delirium in the Colombian population. It was took into account about 2,500 patients. And the second one was the validation of the 4A's test or 4AT scale for diagnosing delirium after anesthesia and the operative act. I'm not sure how valuable this research would be for the IARS and to present in next year's conference.
Yeah, it sounds great to me. I think just submit it. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, it's as we have this sort of review criteria and scoring up, you can see like the research itself and the substance of the research and what its content is. That's part of it, right? That's part of what we're basing this travel grant on. And obviously your work, your abstract, its review is like a separate thing that's done with a different review committee at the IARS to say whether it's, valuable to the conference. But yeah, definitely sounds like a good area.
Sounds good. And I was also thinking, I'm not intending for it to be to give more points just for submitting 2 abstracts. I'm not even sure if that's doable. But in case I want to present it both abstracts since they're related to the same topic and they might even go back to back. Is that a possibility, or is it only the possibility
Oh,
to
yeah.
present in one of them?
No. You have to, I mean, you can submit both for the conference, but
Okay.
we do have this sort of kind of strict rule about submitting just one. I'm sorry, I have it. You pick one, submit only one application. So yeah, I mean,
All right.
even if, I mean, you could mention like, I have another abstract, but like really it should focus around just one of them. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Kristin.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right. Great. Okay. And thanks everyone. Thanks for hanging around. And we will make all of this information available. Again, if you have questions after, we are very happy to answer them for you. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you at a future meeting. All right. And thanks so much again, Eugene, for being here. And as always, Megan, for like keeping us so organized.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.